So 27 years covering the Canucks for you, Farhan, 20 years for me covering the Oilers, and we have never done this before, a playoff series between these two teams.
But we're big rivals, so you know.
And maybe by the end of this, the Oilers and Canucks will have that true rivalry. Sets up to be a pretty good series here. Elias Pettersson was back on the ice today after not skating yesterday. They talked about him not feeling too well. Did a media availability, pretty subdued. And I know he's often like that, but it was a massive scrum. The eyes of the hockey world, Farhan, square on Pettersson, because I think if that offense doesn't come from him, the Canucks are going to have a tough time getting past this Oiler team.
Yeah, because you know that McDavid and Draisaitl at some point are going to get theirs. And right now we're talking about Elias Pettersson as an X factor. Yeah, that's right, an $11.6 million X factor. Because you know that JT Miller is going to be able to drive offense. And, you know, that Lindholm line with Joshua and Garland has been fairly solid for them, but they need more from that third line. It's supposed to be a group that is deeper up front. I mean, that was the thought going into the last series. So can Pettersson live up to his end of it? And yeah, you know, he was sick and missed a practice, but right now this guy has got to show up. When you talk about the weight of the world on his shoulders, it's absolutely there. He knows he hasn't been doing it for this team, and it hasn't just been a 2-week 6-game series against Nashville. It's been 3 months coming out of the All-Star break. He has been quiet, and I see no signs to suggest that that's going to change. And if it doesn't, that weight you talk about is going to get heavier and heavier.
Yeah,
I
was going to put you on the spot and ask you that. Do you get any sense that he's ready to do more, that he's ready to meet this moment? Because that's a big question about this Canucks team, Farhan. They don't have the scars that the Oilers have from past playoff losses. They haven't necessarily had to meet a moment like this is going to be, and with Pettersson leading the way here.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's going to meet that moment. And I just think that there's such a lack of confidence and a body language thing going on with this player right now. And look, even though he was sick yesterday and wasn't missing practice because he was injured, I have heard there's some things that he's dealing with, and I think that if you're the organization, you better hope so, because if this is what you're going to get for 3 months and you've just signed this guy to an extended deal, 8 years, 11.6, I'd be worried big picture for the organization. So, you know, I'm not sure how to best say this, but hopefully something is wrong just in terms of what that contract's going to look like. But I see nothing right now. Had a big assist on the series-winning goal against Nashville, but other than that, it's been quiet around him.
Talk about scars. The Oilers have been in this situation before. They've lost in this situation before. So much expectation on this group, right? So it'll be interesting to see what lessons they've learned in the past, Farhan, that they apply to game number 1 tonight, right? Because they've done it a few different ways. I chatted for a little bit with Connor McDavid today. That seems like a calm group in there, right? They've been in this position before. I don't know that the 7 days off was great. That's got to be tough to kind of sit there and deal with. But McDavid talked about just needing to go straight at it. He's banged that rust off, and you got to get going. So where McDavid and Draisaitl are concerned, there's some matchup decisions that the Canucks have to make here. What do you think they're going to do matchup-wise, Farhan? Because they got the big D pairing, and then they got the small D pairing. Which forward unit? Who gets 97?
Yeah, I think JT Miller's line is going to wind up against 97 for the most part. And, you know, you don't take a lot away from the early part of the season, but that happened early on, and I think JT Miller felt he found some success there at 5-on-5 and maybe got under Connor's skin from time to time. He relishes the matchup and just the role and responsibilities given to him. But I think it's going to be Hughes and Hronek that also sees that a fair bit, because I think they're going to want to defend by playing offense. And, you know, when Quinn Hughes has the puck on his stick, the ice gets tilted. And if he can keep it in Edmonton's end and control it, I think that's their best way to go. But I got to ask you, we've spent so much time talking about how the Canucks are going to deal with Draisaitl and McDavid. How are the Oilers going to deal with Quinn Hughes?
Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, he dominant offensively. As you talked about, he tilts the ice when he's doing his thing, and I think the Oilers need to take that really seriously. They're at their best, Farhan, when their forwards understand the importance of getting back. Because when you're playing against D-men that want to rush that puck up ice, if you're not on your horse getting back as forwards, it causes a huge problem. So look for the Oiler forwards, their back pressure to be really, really strong. They're not overly aggressive in their own end, so it'll be interesting because Hughes likes to handle that thing. He likes to move around. How much space do you give him? Massive challenge for the Oilers. This thing sets up so good. We never even talked about special teams, which could end up deciding the series. So many great storylines in this all-Canadian affair here in Vancouver.